Facebook, Amazon, OpenAI, all of these companies, they're thinking about where we're going to be in 10 years, Jeff. That's where I want everyone to understand. Like, yeah, of course we're not there today, but in 10 years from now, like we all can think about 15 years ago where we all were and how much business has changed. That's where I think the listeners to understand is I'm not talking about tomorrow. I'm not talking about in the next 2 years. I'm talking about in the 10 years, what's going to happen.
Hey there, welcome everyone to another Builder365 podcast, the show where we celebrate all things home building. We so much appreciate you joining us. This is not a heavy podcast. This is a pull up your chair, grab a cup of coffee type of thing. Just think of yourself as a friend talking to friends. And I appreciate having my good friend and partner in crime with me. Say hello to Amy O'Connor. Hi, Amy.
Hi, everyone. Glad you're back with us. Hope you enjoyed the last episode.
I have to tell you, just the last two episodes, we're off and running with a couple of great guests, Larry Webb and Lisa Cooper, to get this this podcast kicked off. Passionate, wisdom, fun. That was a lot of fun, wasn't it?
Yeah, Lisa's one of my favorite people in the entire world. I'll tell you a story about her later. I'll tell you. Remind me.
I have a feeling there are stories about Liesl that are probably best not shared.
There's lots of stories about Liesl.
That's exactly
good ones,
right.
Liesl, if you're listening to this, good ones. We love you.
All good. That's right. Yeah. Well, probably a few about Larry Webb too, but I digress. Amy, it's AI Day. This is. By the way, this is AI Day. We're going to be talking about AI.
Yeah, okay. We got to broaden it out. It's not just AI Day, right? It's AI everywhere, all the time.
Yeah, it is. Okay. But it's AI on our podcast. Let's do it that way.
Okay.
And so that makes me ask the question, is this really you, or am I talking to an AI avatar right now? Or do you even really know?
I got to tell you, if I could be this good as an avatar, I would absolutely figure that out. If I could figure out how to be an avatar in front of clients and get paid while I'm, on a beach somewhere, I'm doing it. I will absolutely do it.
Absolutely. Sure. Yeah. Why not? Look, I know what I think about AI, and we've talked about what you think about AI. I'm kind of curious. You've got a freshman in high school, right? Claire's a freshman, right?
Yeah.
What does she think about AI? What are the kids saying? That sounds like a very old person right there. What are the kids saying these days, Amy?
Yeah. Like you said, my daughter is a freshman in high school, and Kieran is 8th grade in middle school. And I can tell you, they have completely opposite viewpoints of AI and how you should use it. Kieran is all about it. It's a tool. Why not use it? What do you mean I can't? And Claire sees it as cheating. I can't even get her to hey, Claire, just let it give you some ideas. That's cheating. I tried to do it for her the other day. She got real mad. She can't do it. She can't do it. But that may just be Claire. I don't know if that's the kids. That may just be Claire.
About the personality type. But in a way, they're both right. So, yeah, I get it. I understand. Yeah. Just a couple of interesting stats that I came across here. Only 39% of U.S. adults believe that AI technology is safe and secure. Now, I just read that directly off of a website here that says only 39%. I'm actually kind of surprised. There's 39% of the people who believe that AI is safe and secure. I count me as one who does not really believe that AI is entirely safe. I use it. I think it's fantastic. But to say that it's safe and secure, to me, is a little bit of a stretch. What are you thinking?
I'm just, hey, my information's everywhere. Are you kidding me? My husband hates it. I stay logged into all of my, of all my sites and all my passwords, and they're just all saved. And I just click into them, and he's like, "You're a cyber nightmare." And so, I definitely don't think it's secure, and I'm still going to use it.
Well, and that's the thing. This is a different stat that I pulled out here. 80% of U.S. adults are concerned about AI being used for cyber attacks. 78% concerned about it being used for identity theft. And again, I look and I go, who are the 20% that are not concerned about this at least a little bit? That's the weird thing about it is I think we all sort of share that concern, but we're going to keep using it anyway.
Yeah, I think we are. Yeah, and who is this 20%? Do they even understand what it is? Where are they hiding? Under rocks? Yeah, I don't get that.
But here's the key stat. 78% of business leaders think that the benefits of artificial intelligence outweigh the risk. And that's where I am, and I presume that's where you are, Amy. When we look at it on the whole, the potential benefits for the wise use of AI are so dramatic and so profound that at the end of the day, it's worth the risk that we're going to take on in using it, right?
You can't ignore it. And it is everywhere. And you're just going to get left behind, right? If you have that mentality of, I'm just going to not do that and, just do something else. You can't. It's not even I don't think it's even going to be an option anymore. I think you're going to have to do it.
I think that's right. Yeah. Hey, for those people who are not like, oh no, not more AI, don't worry. We got a couple of industry tidbits here before we dive into the AI discussion. Some really interesting stuff here from the NAR, the National Association of Realtors. Shockingly, this is not related to their recent legal battles, but let me just read this to you. The year that you were born could affect when and where you will move. According to the National Association of Realtors, younger generations moved shorter distances in 2023, and that trend should continue in the year to come. Their research showed that younger and older millennials averaged moves around 15 miles away. However, younger boomers moved the furthest distance around 90 miles. This is on average across the country, followed then by older boomers at 60 miles and the silent generation at 50 miles. So there you go. That's kind of interesting stats to say the younger you are, the closer you're going to stay. Any thoughts on that, Amy?
I'm looking at that 90 miles and I'm wondering if these boomers are getting closer to grandchildren or changing their mind and going further away, going in the opposite direction. Like, hey, we tried this, we're out.
Yep. Well, as a younger boomer, I fall into this category, and there's no question about it. The desire to chase grandkids is profound, and it will always be profound. I would imagine that would be the case. But I also look at it and say, when you think about where some of the population centers are, especially in the East, you think about population centers like New York and Philadelphia and Boston and those Chicago, which is not the East, but you know what I mean. It's cold. It's cold there.
Really cold.
I know for me, the older I get, the less tolerant that I am about being cold. So I think that's a big part of it as well. Yeah.
The article talked all about why these younger people were making that type of move. I mean, is it like a lifestyle choice or for them?
Yeah.
I'm like, why? I mean, the big question mark, like, why? What is that?
Well, there is one thing here, and again, this is from the same study here. As millennials, Gen Xers, and baby boomers continue to leave larger cities and find new homes in the southeastern region of the country that has warmer weather, there you are, lower costs of living, and the youngest group of adults, Gen Z, are going against this trend, continuing to move to some of the largest cities in the country. A recent study shows that Gen Z is headed to New York, Los Angeles, Chicago, Houston, and Philadelphia, which are all cities that had decreased in all other generations. So that's really interesting, seeing young people gravitate towards the cities.
Yeah, it is. All right, a little bit of trivia for you here, Jeff.
Sure.
We all know how the I can't even say it. How the baby boomer generation got its name. All right, there's no secret there. That's a pretty obvious label. But do you know how Gen X, which is me, I'm right there. I'm right on the cusp of Gen X and millennial. But do you know how Gen X got its name?
No, I guess I kind of assumed that we didn't know what to call them, so we'll call them Generation X. I think I'm wrong.
Yeah, well, I mean, kind of. I mean, somebody always has to make it up at some point, right? It was a Canadian journalist, Douglas Coupland, and he was writing about this age group and population, and he just nicknamed them X because of their resistance to societal pressures, and they were not really interested in money or status. And so he called them X.
Interesting. I wonder now, of course, that was a long time ago that he would have thrown that moniker on them.
A long time ago? Okay.
Yeah. But are they still not interested in money or status? I think not.
Well, not if you're polling me, but I don't know that I can poll for anybody.
All right, fair enough. Although it is true when you look at baby boomers. I mean, if you want to know what a baby boomer are, if they're a baby boomer, ask them what their square footage is, because they will boast in a hurry about their square footage. There's no doubt about it. So yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, before we bring on our special guest today to really get a deep dive into the world of AI in home building, I want to let you know that Builder365 is powered by Open Door for Builders. Easy sales, smooth moves. With that Open Door cash offer, builders can give their customers a simple and certain selling solution so they can get into their new home with speed and ease. Customers can close in as little as 14 days and move on their schedule. No stress, no hassle, and completely seamless. Open Door's flexible closing timelines help to provide builder customers with a better moving experience, so they don't need to worry about construction delays and double moves or mortgages. Gone are the days of stagings and showings and making repairs. Open Door will do the hard work so your customers can sell quickly. You can create your own personal link through Open Door, which your customers can use to get a free offer. Once they decide to sell to Open Door, you can track the progress of their home sale while helping get them into their newly built home on their ideal timeline. Get started today at opendoor.com/builder365. Offer eligibility varies. The ability to close in 14 days varies by market. A fee may apply for closing dates longer than 90 days. Open Door for Builders, easy sales, smooth moves. And of course, we just love Open Door. I've used them twice for sales of my own homes, and just love that company. All right, Amy, today we're talking about all things AI because we're a podcast, and that's what we're supposed to do. It's actually required by the Podcasting Authority Board, page 16, paragraph 2, that we must have an AI episode sometime in the first few weeks of a new podcast, and so here we are. I approached this with some fear and trepidation because some of the things that we're going to talk about today are going to be obsolete in how long from now will be the obsolete, Amy?
15 minutes.
Yeah, I think that's probably about right. And we record these podcasts several weeks before they air. So by the time this airs, who knows what kind of weirdness will have transpired. But here's the thing. AI is just all over the map. So I thought what we might do is have you and I share some of the strange things that we've seen, some of the really bizarre stuff that AI can do. We'll talk to Sara here in a couple of minutes, but let's just see some of the weird stuff. You want to go first? What's something weird that you found that AI can do?
Well, yeah, I'm so excited. I absolutely found some cool stuff. So I'm going to look at my list here. If you're wondering how I found these, I searched AI.
You're smarter than me, Amy. What can I say? You're just smarter than me.
That's what you got to do. That's what you got to do.
Yeah.
So the first one is they can be a therapist. That makes me a little nervous. AI is a therapist.
Yeah, me too.
But they have chatbots and virtual therapists, and they can have a conversation to support your mental health. They can help with stress and anxiety. I don't know. Maybe it cuts down on price, but that kind of freaks me out that a chatbot's going to give us mental health advice.
Absolutely. How about AI-powered chatbots for pets? So pet owners are using AI-powered chatbots to communicate to their pets, to their furry friends while they're away, providing entertainment and companionship through virtual interactions when they are gone. How bizarre is that?
I would do that. My cat's just so sad when I'm gone. Yeah, I would love that.
I will tell you,
through AI. They ignore me in real life.
That's
now
exactly
they can
right.
Through AI.
Yes. I do know that when Brody sees a suitcase, he gets depressed. He'll lie down on the floor and he'll put his head down on his paws. So maybe there's something to be said.
I think Birdie's she doesn't want. She just wants to go with me.
Yeah. What else you got?
Okay, this one's great. How about reading minds? AI application that can read your mind. So what it looks for is brain activity from neuroimaging, and it reconstructs the images, thus sort of reading your visual thoughts, reading your mind.
Yeah, that one was as sketchy as the first one that you brought up there. But
wait till the third.
That's Yeah. How about AI robot bees? These robotic bees buzz from plant to plant while using GPS data to find and pollinate the plants. The bees also use high resolution cameras to locate and navigate a specific plant area. Can you imagine how much each of these robot bees cost? It's crazy. It's
I mean, I
crazy.
know that we have a bee shortage, and then it
Yeah.
actually gets taken very seriously, right? You don't pollinate, and then you don't
Right.
have growth, and I mean, they kind of help the ecosystem. But
Sure.
yeah, how
No
many of
doubt.
those would you have to release to actually make a real difference?
Give us another.
Yep. Detecting ghosts. Mm-hmm. An
Uh-huh.
AI application that I know that listens for video and audio recordings that some people would assume are anomalies and therefore making them a ghost.
Okay. All right. I'll give you one more. You can give me one more. How about going back to pets here? How about the AI cat pain detector? Okay, so here's the thing. I'm going to read this. For cat lovers in Japan, a technology firm at a Tokyo-based university have invented a new web app that uses AI to detect if a cat is in pain. The cat pain detector app has an alleged accuracy level of more than 90%. The AI detection system relies on 6,000 photos of cats where it studies the cat's whiskers, eyelids, ears, and nose, which are then fed to a scoring system to measure differences between healthy cats and those supposedly suffering in pain due to a less visible illness. The app's popularity has seen it grow to have some 43,000 users across Japan, Europe, and South America since its June 2023 launch. And Amy, you know me. You know I'm a cat guy. I'm not a cat guy, but
I know. It's like
actually,
you're
I kind of
talking a
get
lot
this
about
one.
cats today. I'm not sure where all this is coming from.
No, listen, this is a soft. The thought of a cat being in pain bothers me, so I kind of like this
Yeah,
one.
well, any animal being in pain, right? I mean,
Sure, of
yeah,
course, yeah, yeah.
yeah, of course. Okay, to kind of go along with my ghost one, if I'm going to keep a theme, how about AI-driven psychic readings? Some individuals are experimenting with AI algorithms to generate psychic readings and predictions. And this really does start to blur the line between technology and mysticism. I don't know, would you let an AI chatbot read your psychic reading?
I would not allow any human being or robot on the planet to read my psychic reading. Thank you very,
Well,
very
why?
much.
Why?
It's
No?
or
Too weird?
I'm of this school that says this is a good way for a charlatan to make a lot of money making stuff up. That's my view. So
Yep. Yep.
there you go. All right, really interesting stuff, and AI is it's not going anywhere, folks. Let's figure out how to embrace the best and protect against the worst, and we'll go from there. But it's time to bring on a true home building AI expert. Had a wonderful, wonderful conversation with Sara Williams. She's the director of sales for the home building tech firm Anugo, a strong partner of ours. We love these guys, and I wanted her on the AI podcast episode because she's the first person that I know who set up her very own AI page, her own designated AI page when ChatGPT first allowed us to do that. For hours later, she had her own page. So she is an early adopter on all things AI. A fascinating conversation with Sara Williams. Sara Williams, how the heck are you?
I'm great, Jeff. How are you?
Just fantastic. Where are you chiming in from this day?
Today, I'm in Charleston, South Carolina, and it's gorgeous here. I'm sure similar to how's California?
Yeah, it's gorgeous here too. I'm looking at blue skies. It's very, very nice. And this is my favorite time of year. Well, you don't live in Charleston. What are you doing in Charleston?
No, I do live in Charleston. I'm from
Oh, I didn't know you lived in
Pennsylvania, but
Charleston.
I'm from Pennsylvania, but I've been here in Charleston for 10 years. So, yeah.
I love it so much. We have our sales leadership mastermind group, and we meet in a different city every quarter around the United States. And I get to pick the cities, which means we go to Charleston every year. It is just absolutely amazing. I think it's the best walking city in the country, and the food scene is just absolutely amazing. So what drew you to Charleston?
A job. So
Yeah.
I was working for a home builder in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and moved to Charleston to work for another home builder. So that's how I ended up here, and then went into tech about like 9 years ago. Started working
Yeah.
in tech. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, expand on that a little bit. Give us a little background
Yeah.
in your career, and then you can tell us what you do at Inugo here.
Yeah, of course. So 20 years ago, I jumped into the new home sales. It was kind of a fluke, like most of us, how we ended up here. I got hired in new home sales very young, in my young 20s. I was moving to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania after getting newly engaged to my now husband. And that's how I started. So I worked as a new home sales consultant, then was begging to go into marketing. I really thought I could make an impact in the marketing department. I always helped support the marketing department too. So then I worked in the marketing department as the first online sales counselor, and I was the marketing coordinator as well. And I kickstarted that program and became the first OSC of the year, the first time they ever offered that at the Nationals. So I won that, grew that to a team of 3, then got recruited to become the director of marketing for a home builder in Charleston, South Carolina. So packed it all up, packed my whole family, and moved to Charleston to be a director of sales, or director of marketing, I'm sorry, for a home builder here. Worked for them, and then I was missing sales. I'm a salesperson, so I did marketing, but I was missing sales, and I did great at marketing. I can do it all day long, but I really was missing sales. So I started working for Lasso CRM, which then became ECI. So
That's how we first met each other, right?
Yes. So I worked for Lasso before it became ECI for 4 years as their director of sales. Then started working at ECI, worked for them for 2 years after the acquisition, and then joined Inugo, where I am today, 3 years ago, as director of sales. So that is where I am today. So that's kind of my path through in the ins and outs of the industry.
Love it. We always
Yeah.
love hearing how people sort of get into the industry in the first place. But at what point did you know, like, I found my lane? This is the industry that I want to be a part of for the rest of my life.
So weirdly, when I was working at the job before I started working in new home sales, a gal that I worked with, I was managing a fitness facility, totally random. I was the manager of a gym and in Princeton, New Jersey. And one of my sales girls on my team said, I just got my real estate license. And it kind of just like, I was like, I want my real estate license. And it brought back this old memory. And it's like odd how things like trigger. I always loved architecture. I wanted to become an architect when I was a kid. And then I kind of moved into communications media. Then I thought I wanted to get into radio and television and kind of switch gears. But when she started talking to me about real estate, I'm like, it reminded me of this dream I had as a kid, as a 9 or 10-year-old. I'm like, I always was interested in that. And my parents' home was always under construction. I always went into model homes. So all of that kind of just brought it all back weirdly. And I was 22 or 23. And when I decided to move to Charleston, or not to Charleston, to Pittsburgh, my boss is like, what do you think about selling homes? That was an opportunity. He was going to introduce me to a builder in Pittsburgh to help me find a job.
Right.
And it was just like ringing, Jeff. Like it was like ding, 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 ding. Like, I don't know. I'm very, I meditate, I pray, I do all of that. And it was like the alarm bells. And I knew in that moment that the girl a few months before was talking to me about real estate. And he's like, what do you think about selling new construction, new homes? And I was like, it was a big yes before like my heart just knew. So I knew before I ever stepped foot at that builder that this was like where I was supposed to be. And I just grew, the love grew. And I haven't been able to shake it since. It's like, this is where I'm supposed to be. I don't obviously sell houses anymore, but I'm so entrenched and I'm working in the visualization side, which I look at floor plans and things all day long. So it's architecture / sales, new construction. That's who I am.
Yeah,
so I knew it. Yeah.
It just sounds like you found the place that you're supposed to be. I want to ask, we're going to talk about AI today because you're just an AI whiz. But, at Inugo, one of the things that I find interesting is that you have a whole suite of products and the products are really cool. And sometimes maybe they're too cool. And it's like, if I'm trying to sell, a Ferrari, I can talk about the history, the racing legend. I can talk about engine performance, body design, creature. I talk about too many things. I only want to talk about what matters here to my customer. There are a lot of features. How do you keep from overwhelming people when you're trying to explain to them who Inugo is and what Inugo does?
Well, honestly, Jeff, when someone reaches out to us, they already know, and they're already looking for a change, and they're already tech minded and tech forward. We do a great job in marketing, so that's a blessing to me. There's not a whole lot of convincing of the interactivity part, which is where what I do for the company is that I used to sell a little bit of the static product, which is just images that you could buy images. But who I get to talk to are folks that are really trying to level up. So that's the beauty of, it's a gift as a salesperson, that when I'm meeting someone, they're sick and tired of the same old thing that they can get anywhere, the commodity of what you can just buy a rendering, you can buy a photo. Every once in a while, we still do that here, but I get to, with my role here at Inugo, I sell our apps products, which is the interactive, everything that moves and engages. So that is, when I'm talking to someone, if they're just looking for the same old, we have a department for that. That's not necessarily what I do. And that's easy, right? That's the easy thing. And we compete with static renderers all day, but you can go overseas and get that on the cheap, right? So what we do here, it's all interactive. It's, if they're looking to engage, if they're looking to level up their website, their experience, it's all about customer experience. That's how the conversation begins with me. And that's how I know they're in the right place. It's like, what's your goals? What are you looking to do? And if they're like, oh, I just need a static image, I'm like, okay, you can talk to this team over here, but what I get to do is that they're looking to change the game, change the way they've been doing their business. So that's how it's like, it's an easy conversation. And then we just dive into what parts of the business are you looking to impact? Is it interactive exteriors? Is it the floor plans? Is it the map? So we kind of just dive into which element of their business, depending on the type of builder they are. We dive in that way.
That whole concept of what are your goals is just such an important place to start. Of course, we talk about it in the sales world, but I just think everywhere. A construction superintendent to talk to a customer early on and ask him, why did you buy this home in the first place? Or, that knowledge of what that customer's background is critical. Or even for somebody who's a land acquisition director talking to, a farmer who's saying, tell me why you bought this land in the first place and what it means to you. I mean, all of these things just help us be connected with the journey of what that person is going on. I think it's critical. And now we have a new way to do that, and it's called AI. And that's why I wanted you to bring you on. I want to talk here about your earliest encounters with AI.
Yeah.
Of course, you work in an organization where it's heavily AI dependent. You were talking about AI long before anybody knew what AI was. And even as we're thinking about it here, the people who are watching or listening right now, there are people who are more advanced. There are some people who are like, I have no idea. I know I'm supposed to get on this AI thing, but I don't know how. So let's go back to the earliest days. How do you first remember being introduced to AI and what AI could do?
Well, that's a great question. So over 3 years ago, when I joined the team, or actually even before I joined the team, John Lee, who's our CEO here at Inugo, and I would talk. We were friends, just like you and I, Jeff, are, and I talked to your team. I talked to him for, a couple of years before I decided to join the team, and he was talking to me about his mission and where he believed the world was going. Take Inugo off the table, where the world was going, where he thought the buying journey for our industry was going. So we started talking about AI, and it was a conversation that I couldn't have with just anybody. This was a conversation I was having with John specifically because he's a visionary. He's a futurist. He's not someone that's going to talk to you about, we're talking about what's going to be happening. That's how John Lee is. So that started over 3 years ago. Then I joined the team, and it's, call it an indoctrination, if you will. But now I was working for the team. I decided to join forces because I really believed what John believed and where he thought the industry was headed, or the world was headed, really. So I joined the team, and I just dove deep myself personally. I started researching. So outside of learning here and on our day-to-day at a tech company, I was reading. There's certain people, and I can share with your, Bernard Marr. He's a futurist. He is very deep into AI. And I used to post things that he would write about. He writes on LinkedIn and on Forbes. And it seemed very outer space type stuff. Like for the average person, I'll say that.
Yeah.
Like I know people were probably looking at my post going, who is this girl and why is she talking about robots delivering food? And if you've been, Jeff, have you ever been to a restaurant where they have the servers, they're robots? I think even at IBS, the convention center has it.
I've not.
Okay.
I didn't see it. Yeah.
Okay. So he was talking about different things.
Oh,
and how,
you know what? I did see that at the International Builder Show. That's right. They didn't deliver it to my table, but I remember this watching the robot carry. Yeah, I forgot about that. That was really cool.
So he was writing about that 3 years ago, right? So I was like, oh, this is so cool. So he was writing about so many different things that were happening. This is before ChatGPT and before what we're probably going to talk more about today. So I started reading, and then I started following him and really like indoctrinating myself in with this guy. He's an author and he posts all the time. Then I started following a girl named Allie K. Miller on LinkedIn, and she's worked for some of the top tech companies in the industry, and she's an AI. She has over 1 million followers on LinkedIn. So I went full throttle into all of her content. And this is the type of stuff that I was immersing myself outside of our little window here of new home sales or new home marketing or just new home construction. I was like looking at what the world was doing, what the world was talking about. In addition to now the owner of my company talking about where he's taking the company and how we use AI, obviously day to day. I want to say we've all been using AI, Jeff. You've got an iPhone, right? Am I guessing? Okay. You got Siri.
Yep.
You got Siri. Hopefully she doesn't start talking to both of us. Alexa, smartwatches, facial recognition. All of that is AI. And I think everybody that's listening probably is like, oh yeah. So we've all been using AI in the day-to-day world, not thinking of it probably as AI. And then fast forward to about 2 years ago, OpenAI, ChatGPT.
Okay, hold on. I got to insert here for just a second there, because I want to keep that, but put a pin in that.
Okay.
Early on, as you're diving into it, were you all enthusiasm, or was there any like, oh my goodness? Because even today, I look at it and I go, I find AI fascinating. I think we've only scratched the surface, especially as I'm getting older. I'm looking at medical advancements, research advancements that AI can do. There's no way that humans would ever have the capability of doing, but. I think about my wife, Karen. She's like, no. So I saw iRobot. I know what happens when artificial intelligence takes over the world. So early on, were you just like, I'm all in, this is great? Or were you looking at it ever and going, this is a little scary over here?
I never have been scared. And this comes back to just who I am as a person. I was always an early adopter to any company I've ever worked for, going back to before I graduated college. If there was a piece of tech, I was always the first person that they tested it on, if that makes sense. Like I just am an enthusiastic person, I guess. That's just who I am. I'm such an eager to learn. I'm like, let me get my hands on it. Let me try it. And I always give feedback too, to whoever I'm trying it on. So I think it just helps. So that's just who I am, I think, as a person. And again, you and I both know people are genuinely not like that usually. So
I know.
that's who I am. So, and that's,
all right.
Yeah.
Okay, so then OpenAI comes along, and now everything changes.
Yeah, so that happened I guess just under 2 years ago, right?
Right.
So I was like right on it, opening an account because, again, eager Sarah's just trying to touch it, feel it, try it. Give me a new app. Let me see. Let me see if I can break it. Let me see what's up with it. So I definitely was an early adopter. I also used so that's a search engine. Let's be fair, like. ChatGPT is a search engine, but I also was using a search engine called you.com. And I put that right on.
Right,
as
like
my
the
search.
letter U?
Like
the letter U?
You, like me and you, like YOU.
Okay. YOU.com. Okay, all right.
Yeah. So that was 2 years ago. So I started using you.com and I created an account. So it started understanding what Sara Williams likes to search. And you can, so that became my search engine. So instead of just, you can layer that into your search engine. So I was using that 2 years ago. Again, learning all the things there is to know about how these search engines are working. Because again, ChatGPT is a search engine, you.com. Now, fast forward, since we all learned about ChatGPT, so many search engines, like Perplexity is another one. Claude is another. Claude has now trumped ChatGPT. There's so many. Just like you might like to use Safari or Google or Chrome, you have your preference, right? We all have our preference, or an iPhone or Android. That's how those of us in this AI world are trying out these new search engines, because we're trying to find which feels good to us.
So you don't
Yeah.
Google anything anymore?
No, I really don't. I mean,
Yeah.
every once in a while I do, but yeah,
Right, right.
I use all of these tools as search engines, and I think that's what's really important because I hear people on podcasts, Jeff, and they're like, "How do you know it's true?" I'm like, "How do you know anything on the internet's true? Like, it's a search engine. Like, you're asking ChatGPT. You have to be a human and just know that like everything that the internet is serving you is not necessarily always accurate.
Yeah.
What I write, or what your cousin writes is not always. You still have to vet the source and vet and understand it's the internet, and everything that we read on the internet is not always true.
Yeah, we're not. I think we make a mistake when we say, "Hey, computer, think for me." No, no. That's not the way it works. No, but let's talk about that because, like, I have found, a perplexity to be better than say ChatGPT when it comes to search engine stuff. I've found Cloud AI to be better when it comes at writing. I used to feed my stuff through ChatGPT. I find I get better results in Cloud. So do you have like this list of AI sites where you say I use this for this and that for that?
For me personally, not necessarily. Like, so how you and I started really talking more about this. I'm part of your BSR program, and I was telling the team that I created my own ChatGPT. Like, so that's where I started really diving more into ChatGPT because I could build my own GPTs.
Okay, now let's pause there for just a second because that's really why, more than anything else, why I wanted you to be able to talk about this.
But that's why I'm saying, like, I kind of dove deeper into that because I was allowed to build my own. But I use the others too, to be fair. Yeah.
Got it. But most people, I think even still today, it's advanced so quickly. AI is just in your face. You cannot get away from it. But most people, still think we look and say, whoa, you created your own AI? So talk a little bit about that, why you did it and what it does for you.
So because I was already enthusiastic, we'll just use that word, and trying and testing and using all these tools, I knew immediately when they opened it up, we had heard that they were going to allow everyday folks like you and I, Jeff, to create our own GPTs. So I was like, as soon as ChatGPT opened that up in November, so that just happened November of 2023, I was on it. My teammates were on it, and we were creating our own within 24 hours, 48 hours. So I literally was like, how do I do it? There was no manual, to be clear, to let everyone know. There was no one that I was following that was teaching me how to do it. Now, people have written stuff since November to help the general population, but I was in there just, had no clue what I was doing. And I built my own GPT for the industry and then for myself, for my job, literally within less than an hour. And then I massaged it. So, but it's because anybody can grab these tools and try it. But it's about trial and error, testing, prompting, and we can dive into that too. But that's how it really happened. As soon as they opened the doors, I had already heard they were going to. I was eager to do it, and then I jumped in and just took the bull by the horns. And I'm like, I'm gonna see. And I'm like, oh, I'll just do it based on what I understand the most, which is our industry. Like, that's with anything. We write what we know. We can help. I knew I could service the industry, so I was like, oh, I'll create one for the industry. So that's how that all began.
When you look at AI, at ChatGPT, for example, or Perplexity, whatever it is, as a search engine, it's not entirely fair to label it that way, right? Because that would be to say, well, it can do exactly the same thing that Google can do,
right?
And it's not. And I think one of the key factors there, and I think this is probably the best advice that I got early on about AI, is to say, train it like your assistant, which means your assistant needs to know who you are. So the first thing that I did was just brain dump my profile. This is who I am. This is what I do. This is how I talk across the board, just like I would if it was an assistant. And I think that was the game changer, because then it was much easier for me to get results that I was looking for, whereas Google is giving results that everybody was looking for, right?
So that is completely true. So when I said it's a search engine, I was really just trying to get everyone to understand that you can ask it pretty much anything. Like, we go into Google and we ask the craziest stuff. I always joke around, if someone saw my Google searches, they'd be really confused, right? So because
that's probably true for most people, though,
right?
Don't you think?
Yeah, for sure. But if you think about what you put into Google, you're asking it questions, right? So that's what we're doing now. what GPT is super powerful on, it can summarize, it can read an article and give you a summary. So it is definitely like my sidekick, my hack, if you will. It is more of assistant, but I think I really want everyone to understand that it is still the internet, especially if you don't create your own GPT, like we can talk about. But if you're just using it in the general sense, it's using the internet for all of its information. So it's searching the internet for the information for the most part. If you feed it, Jeff, information about you, like that you.com that I mentioned earlier, I created a profile for myself. So it understood Sara and understood what my searches, my preferences, and the sites that I like. But ChatGPT, you can feed it information about yourself. You can feed it data. And from that data, now it's using that to answer questions for you or to help you. You can feed it an article and ask for a summary. So it is acting as, but it can't do anything unless you prompt it. It can't do anything unless you ask it where to go to search. So if you're generalizing, if you're using the ChatGPT general that you and I can use for free, it's searching the internet for the answers. And it's not necessarily it's not 2024 data necessarily, but it's going back to online public documentation. But you could feed it an article that you wrote or an email that you want to write, and it can help you in those ways too. But in the general sense, it's going to search the internet if you're asking it a question. But if you're going to feed it information, it can summarize, it can break it down, it can help you.
Right.
Yeah.
One of the things that I'm looking at here is the way AI will continue to evolve and how it will interact with other technology. So, when I think, for example, about AI and robotics and how we can get a robot to learn even in the construction of a home. And I know we still have a long way to go on this, but, people who hear me speak know that I'm pretty passionate about the lack of affordable housing in the United States, and particularly the number of people who are threatened with homelessness simply because of a lack of affordable housing. We're not there yet by a long way to try to, for example, there's a big Lennar community outside of Austin that is it's up and running, and they've got sales. Probably not as many as they'd like. And I think one of the reasons is that if you're going to build a 3D printed home, that's great, but you probably have to come in under market in order to do it. And the economies of scale don't work yet in order to bring the prices down. But I think AI is going to be what gets us there, right? We're going to start seeing AI come along and say, have you thought of this? Have you tried that? If you do this and this and this and do it robotically, that's going to change everything. Is this the level that you're thinking at as you start to imagine what AI can do down the road?
For our industry specifically, absolutely. I get to talk to builders of all different types here at what I do for Inugo. So manufactured, modular, panelized wall systems, parts of the home built in factories. If you have ever been in a factory, a lot of it is already robotic manufacturing. So AI is only going to make those robots smarter. And then if we can get robots into the field, we already like the trade shortage, different things. If we could train robots, I mean, I can only imagine how expensive it would be, but, right. Or if it breaks, like the insurance policies on those. But I'm just thinking futuristically, again, we have to think about, with the companies like Facebook, Amazon, OpenAI, all of these companies, they're thinking about where we're going to be in 10 years, Jeff. They're not thinking about where we're going to be tomorrow. And I think that that's the other thing when we're thinking about AI, when they're making these multi-billion dollar bets, it's for where are we going to be in a decade? Where are we going to be in 20 years? So that's where they're investing today for that decade bet, for that 20-year bet. And that's where I want everyone to understand, like, yeah, of course we're not there today. But in 10 years from now, like we all can think about 15 years ago where we all were without our cell phones and how much business has changed. That's where I think the listeners understand is I'm not talking about tomorrow. I'm not talking about in the next few years. I'm talking about in the 10 years, what's going to happen. In the next 20 years, these robots or AI intelligence is really going to change the way we do business in every aspect of our businesses. It's already impacting companies outside of our industry. But yeah, with the construction, absolutely. Whether it's in the factory or in the field, I think it's going to really help us because we lose people every year that have tenure in our industry that are building these beautiful homes. We don't have enough people to replace the people that are leaving in bulk, like the baby boomer, like people are leaving the industry, these amazing tradespeople. We don't have enough people replacing them. Every single year we're losing.
Yeah. And that's where the really smart builders are going to be able to say, this may not even pencil today, but it is our future. I was just rereading Matt Church's book on thought leadership, and one of the things that he suggests that you do is you take what you've got so far, and then you ask the question, great, what would Einstein have done with this? What would Steve Jobs have done with this, right? Today, what would Elon Musk do with this today? How do we look at what we are doing and challenge ourselves to think, because that's one of the gripes, if you will, that I have with the home building industry, is that we do so much out of tradition rather than thinking out of our imagination, right? We think out of our history more than we think of our imagination. And I think that that's where the best thinkers are going to come up with stuff that is in a blue ocean, where we haven't thought about it yet, but it's just going to be so exciting. We're getting near the end, but are there a couple of fun things that you might want to share about AI where you look at it, you say, okay, I found this and I admit this was pretty cool?
Well, there's so much, like everything we're using, Jeff, you and I, like every tool, even Zoom, just different tools that I know your team uses and I use, like there's AI sprinkled in. So I want everyone just to pay attention, because AI has been part of your life now since smartphones have really taken on storm. But AI is sprinkled in. But I would say, like, if you haven't, and I talked to someone that leads a $1 billion industry not that long ago who just downloaded ChatGPT. And like you said, you like Claude and Perplexity. And I don't care what people use. Like, I just want everybody just to touch it, like just to start introducing and seeing what the power is as a user. Because if you're leading, the leaders of our industry specifically, or leaders within the world, if you don't understand that this is actually impacting the day-to-day, like my brother is a computer programmer, he's using it to write code. My sister, who's a top executive at her company, she uses it to make herself sound better in emails. Like everybody that I know that's touching it, and that's my group chat with my 6 siblings of how we're all using AI. Our mom was a computer programmer, if that makes any sense. Our dad was in sales. So we're all talking about how we're using it, and each one of us does something uniquely different, but we're all using it. So if you're leading your team, understanding what folks on your team are using in their private life, and then how they're going to be starting to show up at work and using the tools, I really think it's important for us all to try it and understand. But also, we're going to be expected as leaders, Jeff. So I know it's not fun to think of this, but I think you can make it fun for yourself, because what's going to happen is you're going to use it individually, then you're going to bring it to your team, and then your organization's going to want to make some big impacts. So do something fun like a ChatGPT or a U.com and use it to write a rap song, or, like there was something silly that was floating around Instagram. It's like, if I'm Vanilla Ice, or write me an excuse that I have to call out of work and make it sound like Vanilla Ice. And I'm probably dating myself if people don't know what Vanilla Ice is, but it's like, have fun. Like, that's what I'm saying. It sounds silly, but just to have fun with it. Don't take yourself too seriously. I use it. I've created a GPT for the industry. I created one to do my own job so I could be faster and do things quicker, because I feel like it's a rat race here for all of us. How do we do things in less time, do more things? So you can have fun. Don't take yourself seriously. So try the GPTs or the Perplexities or the Claudes. But literally, here's another thing. If you're required to read an article, you can pop that sucker in and have it summarize and read it in your ear as you're getting your steps in, if you're trying to close your rings. These are the things that I think you can have fun with. So it sounds silly. It might sound silly, but try it, because you're going to be expected at work to be able to hold the conversations that you and I are holding today. And just understanding it is the first step of like how it could start working within the job you have, then the team that you lead, and then the organization that you might be running.
Yeah, I think that's that's wise advice, because somebody once said, I don't know who first said this, I think it's going around the internet a lot these days, but you're not going to lose your job to AI. You're going to lose your job to somebody who uses AI. And so you can jump on and you can get left off. But the other thing that I have found with AI is that it is not the answer, but it leads me to the answer. And so oftentimes I'll put something in, I'll ask for, I had written a whole new concept on something that I'm working on. I fed it into ChatGPT. I think it's their diagram extension, and it gave me something. And I said, well, that's not what I want, but that's interesting, because they've sort of got a wheel and spoke model. Hadn't thought of that. And then I just sort of carried it forward from there. So now you can look at, like, I can't remember what it's called, but there's a PowerPoint AI that designs incredible PowerPoints. Something that just a couple of years ago, you would have paid literally thousands of dollars for, and you can do it now for nothing. So that's where we're going. So I agree. We got to lean into it. You got to lean into it.
You have to. You can use it for every aspect of your life. And that's what, like, don't be scared. And I hear a lot of fear or I hate AI. It's because it's the buzzword, right, of the year. But that's a strong word, hate. And it's like, but there's fear behind, I think, those statements. There's a little bit of fear to what does it mean to the organization you're running, maybe the company that you have, whatever it may be. It's like, don't be scared, because guess what? You've been using it. Now it can impact all of us, but in a positive way. There's always a negative, but people, I remember, Jeff, like, we're at, we've been here a while. Magazines were a curse, the radio, TV, cable TV, MTV. I can list all the things that they said were like detrimental to our youth, detrimental to our world. And here we are, right? And whatever, we could all argue here or there, but I don't think that, of course, everything needs to be regulated, keep us all safe. But I think have fun with it. Don't be scared. I mean, literally, your kids are going to be on it. If you have kids, the people that you're hiring are going to be using it. It's just like social media too. I hate social media. You and I are on it all the time, Jeff. But it's part of how we run our businesses, and that's how this is going to be. So it's exciting. It's an exciting time.
Very cool. Before we let you go, we're going to put you on the hot seat. A few rapid fire questions, rapid fire answers. Ready?
Yes.
All right, here we go. The artist or band that you listened to most in high school?
I think it was New Order, total 80s band. Yeah.
No, that's sure. Yeah. The most beautiful place you've ever stood?
Hawaii, Big Island.
Where?
Yeah.
The Big Island?
Yeah, Big Island. Yeah.
Yeah. Love it. Love it. That's old school Hawaii. It's great. A book you read a long time ago that had a lasting impact?
How to Win Friends and Influence People, Dale Carnegie. Of course,
yeah.
Yeah. It's an oldie but a goodie. Yeah.
Yeah. Your first car?
Nissan Altima.
Nice. And you know where we're going with this one. Your first celebrity crush?
Oh, goodness. Probably Brad Pitt. I mean, that doesn't age well now, but Brad Pitt was my first.
No. We asked for your first. It's all good. All right, you're off the hot seat.
Thank
Sara
you.
Williams, everything I was expecting and more. I just really, really, you made us smarter, but you also made us wiser. So thanks for spending a few minutes. Always good talking to you, my friend.
Thanks, Jeff. Take care.
All right, so there you have it. And I know Sara has much deeper insights on all that stuff. We might have to reach back out to her for a follow-up at some point.
Yeah,
but
mastering level. You got to step us there, right? Stair steps here.
Right, you do, but people like Sara out there leading the way, even for people like you and I, Amy, right? We are, when we look at Sara, when we look at Anya from Anugo, they are challenging us at Shore Consulting to say, how do we step up our AI game?
Yeah, Anya did a great presentation for my women's leadership circle. I mean, just fantastic talking about AI. And I loved how Sara called herself Eager Sara. I just love that she, right? That was her nickname she had for herself. That's a great nickname.
Absolutely. Okay. Hey, listen, two things before we wrap. My hockey team won last night 6-1. I gave up one goal and it was the defense person's fault. So there you go. Amy, what is our sarcastic quote of the day?
When asked what her hobby was, Betty White replied, "Vodka is kind of a hobby."
I like it. I like it.
love
Good
Betty
quote.
White. Bless her heart. A national treasure that we have lost. We love you, Betty White.
Absolutely. And on that note, thank you, everybody, once again for joining us on the Builder365 podcast. Do us a huge favor. Please, please, please share this episode if you liked it. Post it on your social channels. The more we can get the word out, the better off we're going to be. The easier it's going to be to reach more and more people with more episodes of Builder365. Until next time, so long, everybody.